Welcome to the monthly JV Media Institute Digital Drop-In. We're glad to have you all here. This is Sarah, and I'm here with Justin as usual.
Hey Sarah, hey everybody.
So today we're going to be talking about the subject of DIY video marketing, and we're going to cover some simple best practices for getting started with including more video in your digital marketing strategy. And I'm going to pass the reins over to Justin so he can start us off today. And again, if anybody has questions, we will monitor the chat. You can feel free to chat them in and we'll address them as we go along. So take it away, Justin.
All right, thank you, Sarah. So for the first part of the presentation, I'm going to be leading a conversation about a couple things. I'm going to spend most of the time sharing a couple examples. I tried to capture examples of people mostly locally or almost entirely locally to the Asheville area who had very different styles of video who've all found success. Most of these videos in my examples are what I would consider low budget, or if you had the right equipment and skill set, it could be done relatively low budget. And I'll talk a little bit about the ones where I know kind of how much time and effort went in, and others I don't know as much about, but I can talk about 7 or 8 different examples, and then I'll talk a little bit about optimization, including how to title videos and the different approaches to titling, and then a little bit about advertising and what role video is playing in especially social media advertising. So, I think we often are asked as a digital marketing agency, what can you do to help us go viral, or can we hire you guys to do a viral video? And I often laugh, and very rarely do those projects turn into actual paying clients, because it's really not a realistic expectation. It's a question that usually leads me to uncover unrealistic expectations from the client. And I think it's most important to create good quality content with a strategy, with a couple of ideas in there that you think could be unique, funny, interesting, enough that it would go viral. But a lot of times what I've seen is the videos that go truly viral don't really have a clear benefit to any brand or any product. It's occasionally, that's not always the case. There are companies that do really good viral videos that also support awareness about a product. Thinking of like the unicorn for Squatty Potty, the guy from the $1 Shave Club, and he's done a bunch of really great videos. Those are mostly pretty complicated productions with a lot of talent involved, including talent from the guy who produces them, the main actor, who's also the CEO, which happens to be beneficial for them that he's the company owner and can do really good videos. But I've seen a few other examples. Recently, Velcro did a viral video that they paid a lot of money from an agency actually in Raleigh, Durham, North Carolina, and I learned about it from the agency when I had a call with their CEO. But it was definitely a marketing piece, but it went viral. It's picked up by a lot of television stations and news shows, so it can happen. But those are rare, few and far between, and most attempts fail. But that doesn't mean that your video has to go viral to be successful. And Sarah's going to talk more about some tactics and strategies and approaches out in the second half. But I also want to talk about some examples of videos that, to some degree, went viral here in the Asheville area. So before I do that, I wanted to talk about the original viral video. This is considered by many to be the first viral video. It was The Evolution of Dance by Judson Lapely, I think is his name, or I thought it was Lapson, but looks like his name is Judson Lapely. And this was a video, it's had over 300 million views, which now is not even in the top probably 100 on YouTube. But it was the first video to get 100 million views, and stayed in the first position, I think, for years, until I think a music video may have passed it. It might have been a Justin Bieber song or something. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was in the first position in terms of total views for a long time. Here's one that I was involved with. And for all these videos, since it's kind of choppy to play video over the webinar software that we use, I've included links. We're going to share the presentation with people so you can actually get clickable links. Because I realize they're not clickable on the screen. You can also search by the name. If you see the name of the video under the image, if you search that name, it'll be the first thing that shows up. But this one, I was the producer and promotional director for. It was a project of the Asheville CVB in 2011. I worked on it with Ian Urquhart, who did the video editing and ran the actual video team. And then we worked with a PR person who's actually in this photograph. She's the one second to the right with the black boots. And her name is Dodie Stevens, and she works at the CVB still. And she's in PR and promotions. And she helped with the permitting and getting the partners on board, all the location shoots and everything, getting approval from all the partners to actually publish the video. But what we did is we hired a couple of breakdancers to get us in Santa suits and to do the same kind of routine in about 10 different spots around Asheville. We took us 3 days to shoot, 2 full days, I think Friday and Saturday all day, and then Sunday morning we shot the final scene at the at the Biltmore house, right in front of the house. And it was like 6 or 7 people for 3 days, plus a lot of prep before that to get ready. We had to hire the dancers. We had 6 or 7 people with cameras. Some of them were professional cameras. Some of them were handheld, like cell phone style cameras. I was shooting I was one of the filmers on set with a handheld camera, capturing crowd reactions. So we created what's basically a music video of breakdancing Santa around Asheville, culminating in like a multi-breakdancer scene in front of the Biltmore house, which is the biggest and largest tourist attraction in the area. But you watch the video, it has kind of a DIY feel to it. It doesn't feel highly produced, and it doesn't really promote Asheville until the end on the final 5 seconds. And it got a lot of views. It got 150,000 views during the holiday month, and then since then it's doubled in views over the last couple of years. It was also scraped off of YouTube by Bing.com, and they made it one of their featured videos for Christmas that year, and it got another several 100,000, over 300,000 views there. A few other sites, I think funnyordie.com ripped it off and got another 20,000 views there. So it had over 500,000 views by the end of January of 2011, after it had been produced and published. So that is one example. I don't remember. I'd say this is probably about a $5,000 cost of production, maybe a little bit less than that. So it's not a super cheap video, but it could have been done for less if a lot of the money went into the editing, and also having that many professional cameramen. Like we had 2 full-time cameramen for the entire thing. The rest of the group was like volunteers or people who were part of the marketing of it, who were doing the other cameras, but there was 2 professionals in every single scene for 3 full days. That's a big part of the cost involved with it. So next up, I have this time-lapse video by Amplified Media, and they've done 3 or 4 of these. This one was the one that had the most views. It had 300,000 views. They have several others that have between 50 and 100,000. These are videos that are commissioned by the Asheville Tourism Office, but I know Jared Kay, who runs Amplified Media, I know he was capturing these types of scenes. If you watch the video, it's a series of long time lapses of different shots. Some of them are very scenic, like all mountain shots. Some of them are a mix of largely like city events, concerts, festivals, downtown, and some of them are a mix of both. And he's been capturing these. These take a long time to shoot. You pretty much have to set up your rig and then leave it, all day. But ideally, you don't want to go too far because it's thousands of dollars worth of equipment. He has slow motion movers that can move a camera like an inch an hour, so that as the shot unfolds, the camera moves as well, but it creates this very slow movement over an entire day or over several hours. So this shot here is that the clouds look like they're like the ocean rolling in. This is taken on the Blue Ridge Parkway up near Craggy. And this is just one of maybe 30 or 40 scenes that make up a 3-minute long video, because each scene, it's like 5 or 6 seconds of one shot. But it could take up to 8 or 10 hours to do each one. But if you have the equipment and the time, there isn't a ton of other costs involved. You have to know how to do the light correction and the balancing of it, because if you don't have the right equipment and the right software, the time lapses will be jittery and the lighting will be off. So you have to have. It takes a lot of practice to know how to do it well. I helped facilitate a shoot for Grove Park Inn where we did a bunch of these, and it took some trial and error. Some of them didn't turn out, even though we spent hours trying to shoot them, like sunsets and sun reflecting off the side of the building and things like that. So this is one that's more talent based, and this one's actually one of the best local viral videos as far as total views. It's got 5 million views. It is a video of a man and woman, and the star of the video is the woman. She is a professional street performer, and she plays the spoons extremely well, and does it around downtown Asheville, and it collects income from tips and also performs at different events. She's phenomenally good, and so she's here. She's playing spoons alongside a man who's singing a famous kind of, I guess, folk or bluegrass type song. And this one's gone extremely well. She's actually been hired to be in promotional videos for the city since this went viral, and she's definitely like one of the top 3 or 4 most famous local street musicians currently, and this video is a big part of that. This one's cool. It's one worth checking out. It's very, it's unique, and it's purely the video production on this was, one camera, motion, still camera. There was zero cost of video on this one. I mean, whatever the cost of the video camera was, a couple $100, if that. You could borrow one if you have the talent. This is purely a talent-based viral video. Her skills are incredible. I'm sure she spent most of her life perfecting them, but other than that, there wasn't much cost in the video on this one. This one is interesting. This one is a video of Asheville police officers who were called to investigate a slip and slide in Asheville 2 summers ago, I believe, and they ended up joining in and getting video of it and posting it online. And it kind of went viral. I mean, it was on the Citizen Times homepage. The city of Asheville pumped it up. And interesting because this was, I believe, I don't know the story behind it, but at the time, the Asheville Police Department was a little bit under being scrutinized for some things that they had, been doing. That there have been a variety of scandals over the last 10 years with the Asheville Police Department. I don't remember which one this one coincided with, but it did come out around the same time as a scandal was unfolding, and it did seem to me that it was an attempt to put a positive light on the Asheville Police Department. Which, I mean, obviously, when there's a scandal, there's usually a few people that were really involved in it, and this is a force that has several hundred employees, and obviously they're not all. Probably 95% of them are great people. So it's great when they can do something that brings a positive light to themselves. And this is a case where I think that they made an effort to do that, and it did probably better than they expected, because it got 90,000 views. I think it got featured on the news, the nightly news, the Citizen Times newspaper. So it was actually a national story. It's like Natasha knows about the story, and it was a great uplifting thing. And it was an interesting example of what I think was probably a unique opportunity that the police officers who went to this specific house just thought about. This would be a cool way to shed some positive light, and it worked, and it was a huge success. And yeah, it's a cool, it's an example of a very DIY, almost no cost viral video. Sorry about the cough, everybody. This is one of our graduates from the Institute. This is Lexington Avenue Glassworks. And the video is kind of just a mashup of blown glass production and kind of the part of the blown glass where they're taking glass out of the kiln and making shapes out of it, and they're sort of demonstrating what you can experience if you come and visit their studio for a tour, or just come in while they're making product, which they do very often. They're producing a lot of material to sell in their store, as well as through other galleries and online. And it did really well. It got 100,000 views, which is great because it's relatively promotional. I mean, it's an example of what it is that they do. It's a way to experience it without coming in, but also encouraging people to come in if they want to see it live, because it's much more engaging and a cool experience if you come in and see it live. Obviously, it takes a while to make a piece of blown glass, and this whole video is only a minute and a half. But it did really well, and it did well on YouTube. It did well on Instagram. I think it started out on Instagram, and got a lot of views even after it went off of Instagram to YouTube. So as you can see by the number of views it has on here, 103,000. So this is a great example of, I think the student, this happened after our course, I think, as a result of some of the ideas that were brainstormed and formulated inside of our program. So that's a cool case study for kind of what you can learn in JB Media Institute, but cool success story nonetheless, and I wanted to share that. Here's one, I think this may be the last one in my list. This is Asheville's most successful YouTuber. His name is Taurus. This is his first name, and his YouTube channel name is Crazy Russian Hacker. This is a video of him dumping a big bag of dry ice into a pool, and I think it's like an infinity pool, probably somewhere around here, I presume. And he does several videos a week, mostly of science experiments. Kind of some of them are like epic science experiments, like doing little things that little kids would normally do, but on like larger scale like this. I know one that comes to mind is where he applied more and more rubber bands around a watermelon until the rubber bands crushed the watermelon and it exploded. He's done like giant, those like little snakes you can get at 4th of July, where you light them and they burn, like giant ones of those, and all sorts of things like that. He also does bar tricks and little magic tricks that you can do for your friends, life hacks, like things to make convenience, personal convenience, convenient ideas for kids in dorm rooms. His target audience is largely like college age and millennials, but he's extremely successful because his videos are combine practical and humor, and he's got a unique personality, and he's done it as a full-time job since he was about 19. He's in his mid-20s now. So he's just built up a huge following. And he makes his entire income, makes more money than a lot of people that I know just off of advertising on YouTube, because when you can consistently get millions of views as he does on your videos, and you do several videos a week, because he has over 10 million subscribers now, every video he posts will get a couple million views, and he'll get advertising revenue from the advertising on those videos, at least a couple $1,000s for every million views, so he can be getting a couple $1,000s multiple times a week currently. I mean, it's taken him 7 or 8 years to get there, and YouTube's always changing how they monetize and how much they pay, so it's going down, but it's definitely an interesting way to make a living, and he's certainly doing that effectively as at a young age here in Asheville. He's done the whole thing from here. He's traveled to conferences, he's traveled to collaborate with other YouTubers across the country, but for the most part, most of his content is produced here in Western North Carolina, and he didn't have to be in a bigger city to build his audience. It's just an example of what you can do if you're with persistence, a little bit of luck. His timing was good. He got started doing this at a good time for this kind of work. So anyway, that's the end of my just example section. Those are some of the best viral videos and video channels from Asheville. It's just a few. I'm sure I missed a couple really good ones, but wanted to share those at least to give you some inspiration, some ideas, and some of my perspective on some of those types of videos. So I think it's important to start with the video strategy, as I said before, and then hope that something goes viral. So here are some different approaches to optimizing your videos, specifically titles, but also the other parts of the video. So if you want your video to show up in search results, either Google search or YouTube search, it's important to remember that YouTube's the #2 search engine after Google in the world. So if you want to do that, then it would be similar to doing SEO for a product page on a website. You want to do the research about what people are looking for, optimize the title, optimize the tags, optimize the description, and that's a place to start. Then you want to do whatever you can to get it more views, sharing it on social media, email, on a website that has a lot of traffic. Because when you search for a keyword, YouTube will look for videos that are optimized for that keyword and are more likely to show ones near the top that already have the most views. So if you're starting with 0 views, you're going to be near the bottom even if you're optimized well. So you want to encourage more views. You can pay for views through advertising. You can do other distributions I suggested. If you're mostly concerned about getting clicks, meaning you want people to see the title and be enticed by it, that's usually when you're going to use the video for advertising. Then you want to use a catchy title that will spark curiosity, make people want to click on it. Another thing you can do is optimize for trends. So if you're following the trending hashtags or what the viral videos of the week, you can create response videos. You can create parodies, spin-offs, and you can do other things like that to kind of capture the trend. And it's not super easy to capture trends. It's a popular strategy. So a lot of people are creating responses, creating spin-offs, duplicating trending videos, trying to capture that. But something to consider, especially if your content is really focused on a specific trend, like a trending topic of some sort. So videos are great for social advertising. It's just the nature of social media. People like to watch videos. You learn more from a video than you do from just reading a paragraph and looking at an image. People like to not leave their social networks often. So if you can put a video in their news feed that helps explain what you're doing or talks about an event or talks about a product, you might be able to communicate more than expecting them to click over to your website. So just a few pointers when you're doing social media videos. You got to grab their attention in the first 5 seconds. You need to make it entertaining with the audio turned off. In other words, you can think about like a silent film, and think about your ad as if it has to be. I think a statistic in this ad, link that I provide at the bottom, something along the lines of 80% of all social media videos are watched with the audio off. So if your audio is really important, then you're pretty much missing out on that audience. So hold on a second. And then next, consider adding the captions and descriptions. This helps with the audio challenge I mentioned before. And then aim for 30 to 60 seconds for videos. If you're doing an actual video ad on Instagram or Facebook, it can't be longer than 60 seconds. That's actually the limit. But if you're doing a boosted post, it can be longer. You can boost up any video, but it's still not going to be very useful if it's more than a minute long. And always test different audiences. You never know who's going to respond better to video, so you want to try different things and then learn from them. So I've included a link that goes a little deeper into this subject matter with a little bit more explanation and nuance. It covers a few other tips that I don't get to here, but it reinforces some of the tips I have here as well. So I think I believe that's it for yeah, that's all I have for today. I'm going to make sure I leave plenty of time for Sarah. But if you have any questions, go ahead and chat those in now.
Thanks, Justin. We're the coughing twins today.
Yeah.
So thanks, everybody, for navigating that. But I wanted to just encourage everybody, based on some of the feedback we were talking in the chat, you will get a copy of this PDF and you will be able to click on all the links that Justin shared. I definitely want to suggest that everyone consider going through when you have time and just taking a look at the local videos that have performed so well. I think it's really interesting when you go through the list that you provided, Justin, to realize how different all those videos are. I mean, literally from really produced to hardly produced at all, subject matter, it's sort of across the board. And I just think that's always an interesting thing to think about, because when the public finds something that it really enjoys and things go viral, it's often very unpredictable what those things will be. That's why I think it's more of a bonus sometimes than it is really a plan to go viral.
Yeah.
But I think it's really insightful just to see across the board kind of all the different things from Asheville that have gotten, 100,000 or more views.
Yeah, and there's probably another 10 or 20 that I missed, at least. Some people have more than one video that's done that well. I mean, Taurus has got over 50 videos that have got several million views. That's a different approach. It's mostly because of how many subscribers he has. When you have subscribers on YouTube, they actually get notifications on their phone. New videos are published. When they log in, they see the most recent videos from their channels that they subscribe to. So that's just like, he has a guaranteed a couple 100,000 to 1 million views every single time he publishes, even if the video is total crap.
Yeah.
But he's built that up because he's produced consistently interesting and entertaining content.
Yeah, and so we have a question from Rita here, which is, how often do places produce new videos? For example, the Asheville Visitor Center. And I know you worked with the CVB, so you could talk a little bit about that.
Actually, the CVB is, I haven't checked on their channel in the last 2 years, but a few years ago, we were actually invited to submit a response to an RFP from them, which is a request for proposal to be their video agency. And this is back when we had a video department, so it's been a few years. But we submitted a proposal, and we came in second place behind the guy who won it, which is Jared K. who did the video that I showed you. And I was submitting a bid with the guy who helped me do the Dancing Santa video. And at the time, I think we were proposing for them, they were going to spend $40,000 or $50,000 a year to produce 20 to 30 videos a year. Maybe a little bit more than that. Some of them would be really short and simple. Some of them might be chopped up versions of a longer video. So you might create something big and then repurpose pieces of it for social media, for email, for the YouTube channel, for go after specific keywords and specific searches. So you can do that. You can create one longer video and then do outtakes, or to do a section on something simple, or short 15 to 30 second video for YouTube. For Facebook and Instagram. So a lot of places, small businesses can only afford to do one or a couple of big video shoots a year, or just one. I think what Sarah's going to talk about, and what we encourage, is trying to figure out a way to do video more often than that. And do it figure out a way to do it low cost, and then occasionally invest in something more complicated. If you want to showcase video for your homepage, explainer video for your sales process, something like that, and you invest more in that. You can easily invest $5,000 in one of those. But for example, we use these videos from our monthly webinars. We're recording what's happening on the screen. There's 2 separate short presentations in this webinar. So the first one, which I just am finishing up now, can be cut and create, a standalone video, and then we can transcribe the words that I spoke throughout the conversation, edit them, make a blog post out of it, and that would take a couple of hours to do, but we already have the video is going to be captured regardless, and so cutting it up takes a little bit of time. We could either write a short summary blog post, which might take half an hour, or fully transcribe it and then edit it, which might take several hours. But then we have content for the website with video in it for very little cost for the video part of it. You can also do, talking head style vlog video with low cost using your webcam or using a simple camera, which is very inexpensive and is very effective. A lot of business coaches and other people use that as a sales tactic. Yeah.
I wanted to just throw out really quick to Rita that next week we're going to be having an event here in Asheville, and I have a panel that I've put together of women who are doing their own DIY video marketing online. And what you'll find is the frequency is completely different across the board. So like Justin said, when it comes to professional shoots where you actually spend quite a bit of money and you spend a lot of time editing, a lot of smaller businesses might only be able to do that once a year. But when it comes to things like broadcasting live on Facebook or doing YouTube videos on a regular basis, things like that where the cost is low, I know people who are doing it everywhere from multiple times a week to twice a month. Mm-hmm. So, in talking to our panelists, I noticed that, some of them who are doing live streaming on their own literally are doing multiple live streams in 1 week as part of their strategy. So it really depends on your goals and, what type of video content you're creating. And I see, Maddie, your question, any recommendations on brands of portable microphones for those of us who are making videos in-house? I would be willing to talk to you about this, Maddie, maybe offline. We're getting a little bit low on time today, so I don't want to go into hardware just because there's so many options. I will say the key is to really figure out what kind of space you're recording in normally, and then purchase a microphone that's perfect for that space. So when you're not in a recording studio with soundproofed walls and all of that sort of stuff, you end up purchasing microphones that actually suit the space you're in. So the mic that we use, for instance, is called a Yeti mic. And essentially, it's really good for using out in kind of open areas, which is what our office is. It dampens sound that's past 3 feet around our microphone. And it does allow for a little bit of background noise to be mixed in, but it'll dampen that. But please feel free, if you email me at sarah@jbmediagroupllc.com. I know a lot about microphones. I've used a number of them, from lav mics to the Yeti mic, and I'm glad to talk about that in more detail. And Nancy, I see your question in here too about equipment, where to buy and where to rent. Yeah, so again, unfortunately, today's topics aren't really about equipment, and that's such a specific conversation. So Nancy, I want to invite you as well to reach out to me, and let's talk about what kind of room you're in, what kind of video you're doing. Are you doing live streaming? Are you doing pre-recorded? All of that stuff affects, what kind of equipment you need. Many people are successfully live streaming video straight from their phone. With a really good headset. So that might be appropriate, and then you really don't have to spend that much money. And then I see, Natasha, your question about, when is the event panel? I'm going to talk about that at the very end. It is our upcoming half-day boot camp, which is April 10th, and there will be some information in the PDF that you download that'll tell you all about that. So, yeah, Nancy, I know, unfortunately, equipment is a huge conversation, and there's no one answer that fits everybody. And again, like I said, the panel that we've put together, if you come to that event next week, you'll find out all 5 women who are pretty successfully doing video. They are literally able to use all different types of equipment, and it really depends on kind of what type of video they're creating, what are the goals, what room are they in, what locations are they in, are they including other people, or is it typically just them? All of that stuff would affect your choices. But again, I want to invite anybody who's interested in equipment conversations, please feel free to email me, and I'm glad to ask some questions, provide some feedback, and give you some ideas.